Hey guys, did you miss us? Sorry, it's been a while. Here at the R.A.W Family, we know how to keep it real, raw, and wild. This is the R.A.W Family, so that's what we're about. So today we're going to talk about trauma, and this is a topic that is very touchy for some and very informal for a lot of others. So my question for a lot of people is, do you learn how to heal from trauma, or is it something that you just learn to cope with? Like, is it really possible to heal from trauma, or is it one of those things that you suppress in the back of your mind, but you still deal with it, but you just learn how to cope with it? So, to you all out there who may have endured trauma, please tap in because I really want to know. And children, yes, they can face trauma. Childhood trauma leads to adult trauma, especially if it's not dealt with. So I want y'all to tap in because this is a really important topic. This is a topic that gets swept under the rug a lot, and I just want to know, what trauma have you faced? So we're going to start with Bree, and I'm just randomly off the top of the dome going to ask a few questions. And this is the R.A.W Family, so are we going to keep it real and wild?
But you
That's what I was about to say. We don't want any tears.
I just yarned.
Okay.
You saw me
No,
yarn.
I was about to say that. When I saw your face, I was about to say that. I'm sorry. I got so loud. I was about to say that, Bray. Why would you yawn? You knew that was coming. Come on now.
What, yarning?
Tell them your eyes watering because you just yawned.
I'll wipe my eyes right now. But I just yarn.
Yo, it's not going to be no tears today because Bree learned how to get gangster. While we was gone, we was practicing.
She is not practicing nothing.
So you going to cry?
No, I'm not going to cry.
All
This
right.
is not a touchy situation.
Trauma is not
Yeah, but I don't know how to, like, tug on this without crying now. I used to, but now.
All right. And we can be real, okay? Because I have probably caused trauma to you as well. Be real, all right? I ain't going to get mad.
Trauma to you.
Yes, you have. Oh, we going to talk to you. You hear
No, we not.
So why what you thought out there?
I'm just saying.
All right.
Right.
So anyway, I'm going to start off because, man, we can go back and forth all day long. Because, first of all, let me say,
left or right?
excuse me, let me just say, my birthday is coming up in a few
I don't
days.
got the drugs, bro.
Stop.
See, that's traumatized right there.
See, I don't know if I really understand, but I'm going to let her get the table anyway, but for real, right? So,
You want me to go first? Because
No, I'm going first. Come on.
all right, Bree. So, sorry that we playing so much. They just annoying. But, what is trauma to you, Bree? And this is my 13-year-old and
14.
soon to be 14-year-old. Okay, up next. But what is trauma to you, Bree?
Trauma to me is something that, like, it can affect you all throughout your life. Unless it's, like, soft. Like, let's, like, actually get better.
And you say unless it's solved or soft?
Soft.
Unless it's solved? No. So trauma can be solved and not have effect on you later on in life? That's what
it still can have it. For me, it still can have an effect on you. Because it's like, no matter, my trauma is, it's like, if the person still try to come back in my life, it's like, I'm used to you leaving. So it's still like, you still think about it. So it's like, you're never going to change.
So because you still think about it, is that part of the trauma? Like, is that something that triggers your trauma? Yeah. You still think of, even if they're back and you're like, are we going to jump around a little bit so that I can get, let's first start off with this. I should have asked you this. What is,
I'm not
okay. What is something that was a traumatic experience for you? What is some trauma that you experienced as a child? What's your biggest one first? Can we start with that?
I only got one.
You only have one?
My biggest one is my father.
Your father?
Yeah.
And alright, your father?
Yeah.
So what causes the trauma? How is your father trauma?
He was just like never there for me. It's like sometimes it's like me had to be present with him in order to be around the family around him.
So your father's alive and able to be there for you?
Mm-hmm.
So is that why it's trauma? Like, why is it trauma?
Like because, so basically for me, before my sisters came around, I guess, it was still me trying to be around him, but now
so we're going to start from the tippy top. You are the oldest child of your father's kids?
Yeah.
Okay, and what's going on now?
I see him doing stuff with my sisters because, like you said, he has to. But it's like he never did it for me, so that's like kind of trauma. And it was like I never could like just be like, we never had a bond basically. We never had like a real bond. Like, it was just like a phony bond.
Can I tap in?
Yeah.
Okay, not to tap. So Brashawn's trauma, she said, come from her dad. So Brashawn's father was in her life up until she was 2 years old. One, going on 2. And he was a good dad in the beginning. I can't take that away from him. But you know how it goes. Once you split, the child, becomes the middleman. So us separating had a lot to do with the role he played in her life now. So he has been in and out, which I believe personally caused more trauma because sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. And now she's 13, ready to be soon to be 14. She's like in that phase where she really needed dad. And there's been times where she reached out to him and sent long, heartfelt messages, long, nasty, deep messages, coming downstairs to me crying, and I never knew that she was facing trauma. So when did you say it started?
I really don't know that answer to that. But I feel like I started to see her elementary school.
Elementary school?
Yeah.
So would you say the trauma stemmed from him lying to you? Like what really let you realize something was it was affecting you? His behavior was affecting you.
He just said he was going to do something and never did it. It was like he never was around me on top of the begging to be around him, and sometimes he'd never even come get me like he said he was going to.
Okay. So is that still happening today?
Yeah. No, now if I have to come over his house to come get me. But it's like he'll say he's going to do something and then sometimes he don't do it.
So do you still have trauma from it or no?
No, because you gotta learn how to cope with it sometimes.
So,
you can't get your hopes up high.
So, okay. If you hadn't learned to cope with it, would you still be having that trauma?
Yeah.
Okay, because he's still showing that behavior?
Yeah, some days you probably think about it, but just think about something else.
So because you just learned how to cope with it and you haven't fully healed from it, do you still have days where you're angry that he's not the kind of dad that you want him to be?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
Yeah.
So how do you turn that, like, since you're not healed from it, how do you cope with it? Since you learned to cope. So since you're not healed and you have a bad day sometimes dealing with that trauma that your dad has, brought upon you, how do you deal with that?
I don't.
You don't? So do you ignore? Seriously?
No, I really don't do. I really just don't think about it. I change the subject or just focus on something else.
And sometimes you're angry and you don't know why, and that could be sometimes.
Sometimes I could just be like, "Am I wrong?" or "Shut everybody out," and you don't know why. But I feel like everybody has them type of days, but it's just like all the build up anger you have. I feel like when you have trauma and you don't talk about it, it turns into anger more than anything.
Okay.
That's what I was feeling.
Okay, now I'm not going to get too personal because she's not open on this subject too much, but I am going to ask a little bit. Have you expressed this to your therapist that you had?
No.
Okay, so...
That's not my therapist.
Right, she no longer have a therapist right now, but I'm open to therapy, and if I feel like she needed, because I'm the mother, kids don't know what helps.
And I was not talking.
She was not talking, but she talking to y'all, so this is therapy too. Little did she know. Very therapeutic. But would you have you felt like if you had a session with your therapist that was real deep with that trauma, if you had to expose it, would it make you cry if you get down and dirty about it or no?
Probably.
Probably.
Like, we just in a room and like she just... I ain't like that therapist anyway, but it's, yeah.
That's not the point. That's not the point, bro.
Okay. So, also, your friends, do they have their dads?
Yes.
Do you have
Most of them have it for me.
Do you have a stepdad?
Yeah, but sometimes it's not the same.
It's not the same?
I mean, now I look at it like that's my fault, but that's my go-to, but sometimes... In the 5th grade and stuff, that was not the same. It was not the same. Because I had to say stepfather. They say my father, because their parents is married. My parents is never married.
Right. So that plays a role too.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this: when you have friends who have dads and they are daddy girls, do that make you feel away?
It used to.
Talk about that.
I think it's cool. I don't know. I just think it's cool now. It's cute. But when I was in elementary school, used to be me and our old best friend, and there was this other girl in our friend group, and we used to bully her for being a daddy's girl.
So let me stop you real quick again. Sorry to stop you, but you said this is during the period when you had trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You saw your friend being loved by her dad the way you would like to be loved, and because you didn't have that, you would bully her.
Yeah.
Because you was really like
not bully. I just used to make fun of her like.
Because deep down inside you were jealous that she had something that you wanted with your father.
Yeah, that.
That's deep that she can talk about this. This is the Real and Wild Family tap in.
She don't even know that.
She don't know that, so we're not going to disclose which friend, but because she had trauma, and that's a lot of things that people do. When you're not healed and you're just coping with things, sometimes you lash out and project your life on others. But that's another story for later. But that was deep what she said. Her best friend was a daddy's girl. And she picked on her like it was something bad because that's something she wished that she had with her dad. Even still, she had a stepdad, but it wasn't the same in 5th grade because in the 5th grade, it was kind of weird that she's saying...
I went to an all-white school, y'all.
A predominantly white school. And that's another topic for later as well. That's another topic for later as well. Because we put our kids in these situations and sometimes we don't know how to affect them. But me growing up as a city girl, I'm happy that she has the experience to be around black and whites. I was exposed to all blacks. So I just try to, that's another story for later. So your trauma is from your dad.
Yes.
Have you told him this or no?
That trauma?
Yes.
I mean, I never really looked at it as trauma like I should have. I just.
So how do you know that it was trauma? Oh, because the anger.
Yeah.
Okay.
He know that I was angry. He know that I be angry.
Now, did your trauma from your dad affect your and our relationship at any point? Were you angry with me?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, so it never got in the way of us?
No.
Okay. Did it affect your relationship with others? You having trauma against your dad?
I mean, I be mean to people.
Yeah.
Oh, so then, yeah.
Okay.
I just be mean to people.
Okay.
I was not mean to my sister though about her father.
Okay.
No, I was not mean to her about her father.
Okay. So I'm going to pass it over to Zai because I wanted to be short and sweet. And then hopefully if someone is out there and they have a story with deep, because this is childhood trauma. And I'm not saying it's not major. But I want to talk to somebody. I want to interview somebody. And I want to post your story on my platform so that people can know, yes, it's other people out here dealing with certain things like you. Because Rashawn's only 13. And I know there's a lot of other 13-year-olds who have experienced trauma similar to her. So now I'm going to tap into my 8-year-old, which I'm not sure if she fully understands what trauma is or not. And I'm going to ask her to share a time. Can you come closer? That she feel like she experienced trauma or she had a traumatizing situation in her life.
The most traumatized thing that I ever had, was my father leaving me for 4 years, and he, I don't count him in my life. I don't count him in my life. The only person I count in my life is my uncle, you, and Deshaun, and Bushan. Because I know those are the people that actually been out for me. And I know my father love me and stuff like that, but sometimes I can get emotional that he not here for me. And I know he tried his best right now, but, I don't know what he did to be in jail right now, so I can't put the blame on him, so I can't do that. Because I know that my father loved me, but I know that Deshaun loved me too, and I feel like Deshaun loved me more.
Okay.
And I feel like Deshaun loved me more because Deshaun gave me clothes. Deshaun takes care of me, and he will never hurt me.
Question.
Okay.
I'm about to cry.
She needed this. Okay, so
I'm about to cry.
I thought she didn't understand trauma, but that's trauma. Because let me tell you something. Desire have a great dad. And before he went away for these 4 years, they had the best relationship. I mean, we had a thing going where he would have her once a week, I would get her the next week. So him being absent for so long has totally took effect on her. It's been times when I would go in her room and I would catch her crying, and it's because she missed her dad. He calls, and it'd be times where she's don't want to talk to him, but she love her dad. So I think these kids hold emotion because she says she have to be strong for him and wait for him and patient. Like it put a toll on children that sometimes become unbearable. So that was a great point. You don't have to say you don't know. I know he loved you. You know he loved you, but the decision that he made at the time was selfish, and he wasn't thinking in the moment. So it's not that, you know, he just wanted to risk it all and be away from you this long, you know. But he's beating himself up how you feeling right now. He feel like that now because he wish he was here with you. You see how he always apologize and he tell you he going to make better decisions? Because he know not only did it have a huge impact on his life, but you are affected, okay? And I'm glad that you have somebody like Deshaun, myself, and your Uncle Chiron to fill that void, because as a child, every girl wants their father. Every girl is a daddy's girl. And for you to have that and have that taken away, yes, that is trauma. That is trauma. That is trauma, and that's deep, that you can really point that out. Okay? And I just had a talk with Deshaun, and I was saying I hope that when he come home, you still have that same bond with him, because I know you love him to death. But this time missing could cause damage as well. Okay? That's deep. That's deep. So that's all you wanted to say on your behalf? You got something else? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel like trauma is like something. Some people like don't express their trauma because some parents don't take trauma seriously. They act like nothing's wrong. They just laugh and they think that it's a joke. But some people have anxiety. They have anxiety attacks, and that's not funny.
Right.
Some people, if they in class, they might have, well, they might just, they might black out his face and be like, and they might think that they call on them and everybody just start laughing because they get a question wrong. And I do that sometimes, but I don't got anxiety. And I feel like everybody should be treated the same, because just because somebody have anxiety or seizures or something like that, it's okay. I feel like you should express your feelings, because I got seizures, but sometimes I might don't want to tell people that. It might be my business. I might not want everybody to know it, because I don't like my seizures. I don't want them to be here with me. I don't want them to follow me. I don't like the seizures, so that's why I don't tell most people, because everybody's going to be like, oh, why do you have seizures? How do you have seizures? I don't know. That's the point. I don't know why I have seizures. They follow me everywhere I go, and I haven't had one, but I just did. I don't know why I had one. It's not my fault.
So having seizures is traumatic for you as well?
Yes.
Okay. So what makes it traumatic? Is it because you know that you were once on life support from it?
No, the thing is, I can't breathe, and you know how I said I don't want to die and stuff like that. I get hyped up, and I don't want that, because I know you get hyped up and stuff like that. And I don't want that. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for nobody. And I just want to be here to like the rest of my life. I want to be here as long as I can. I don't want to stop breathing and stuff like that. I want to stay here as long as
So it's
possible.
trauma that you have to think that as an 8-year-old that I can have a seizure at any moment and then I won't be here.
Exactly. That's what I feel. I don't want that.
Okay. All right. So you got anything else, Ray?
What's your trauma?
All right. What's my trauma? So I'm going to try to keep it simple, because the first trauma that I have ever experienced was when I was 14 years old and I lost my sister. I didn't know it was trauma until I got older. So my sister died. I remember answering the phone, and I wasn't supposed to be on the phone, but back in the day, if y'all can relate, everybody can answer the phone if you had more than one landline in the house. And I heard it, and I just was stuck, and I couldn't move. So I had to see it, because I still didn't really fully believe that my sister was gone. I was 14. That was my other half. So afterwards, I went to the hospital and saw her, and she was on life support, so she was hooked up to all these machines and stuff. And the only thing that I can remember, and I hate that I have this last memory of her, is my sister laying on a hospital bed. She's bloated, and she has tubes in her mouth. So because she was sitting for a while, I guess everything that they had put into her was finally coming out. So I saw bubbles coming out of the tube that were in her mouth, and that gave me hope that she was still there, but mentally and physically I know she wasn't. So seeing that kind of like messed me up because it's like my sister's laying on this bed. She had tubes. Why wasn't she able to get the help? So I ended up being out of school for 2 weeks. But I still have a whole block period from there. Like I still don't remember like how I was able to cope with it. But honestly, I never coped with it. I just learned how to live with it. So after losing her, friendships, I didn't care about it. Losing anybody, it was like death became normal for me. I don't really react as much. My siblings and everybody, they still cry. I cried really bad at her funeral to where I had to get carried out. But after that, I became numb. I still haven't fully dealt with it. Like, I don't know. But it was traumatic for me. But it actually built this wall that I with death, again, I won't experience that traumatic situation. My second trauma was experiencing my child being on life support. I was numb. I had a full out-of-body experience that was traumatic for me, seeing my 19-month-old child have a seizure for 32 minutes. Like, that was something that really, I was traumatized. So as though she was in the hospital for 2 weeks, didn't want to eat. I didn't want to get up to take a bath. Didn't want to use the bathroom. She had pooped all over me at one time, and I didn't even want to go change because I was afraid of being away from her. Another one, but I can't say names, that has just started resurfacing for me is I dated somebody that touched somebody in my family. That hit differently. That hit very differently. I have 2 girls, so I'm a little weird now, and I didn't know it until like 3 months ago that it still bothered me. That happened years ago. That happened about 7 years ago, if not longer. And as mothers, we have to protect our kids. And at the time when I experienced that traumatic situation of somebody being touched that was close to me, I didn't know how to deal with it. I was embarrassed. I swept it under the rug. I didn't want to talk about it. I act like it didn't happen. And that caused me to harvest and hold on to it even more until I got older and I realized that it was totally out of my control. And I was glad that the person who was touched felt comfortable enough to come tell me. For years, I was mad at myself for not dealing with it like I should have and ignoring it. But that was part of me trying to pretend it didn't happen. And one valuable thing that I learned is when you deal with trauma, you have to face it. You have to stand up to it, and you have to say that this does not control me, this does not own me. You have to speak about it. The more you suppress it down deep inside is when it come out and it don't come out right. So past 3, maybe 4 years, I've been talking about it. I've been sharing that because as a mother of girls, that could have been either one of my children that was younger at the time and not able to tell me what was going on. So I'm real funny with men, which I have always been funny with men. And I'm weird. Right, Ray? I'm very weird, but it's like it's for protection. So even when my children go places, I've never been touched. So I can't relate, but I hear stories. So when my kids come back, I check underwears. Don't I? They embarrassed.
I'm not embarrassed.
No, but don't I? You don't know, but I did. Because I still got to keep it, but we going to be real.
She don't take underwear.
I check underwears. I ask questions.
I wash my own clothes now.
I come in the bathroom.
I locked my door.
I look.
She don't look at me no more.
Yes, I did.
I locked the door.
Do you want me to touch your titty right now?
You just better. She don't got them soggy dubs.
Shut up. But I explore because for children, trauma is hard and they can't express it. So sometimes you have to dig and figure it out. So I don't want my children, which we all, trauma to some people could be the littlest things, but we all experience trauma at some point in our life. But I don't want them to have to carry on childhood trauma into their adult life and then it become a bigger problem. So I can go on. But I just raised her hand, so I'm going to go ahead and pass the floor. Right.
I feel like I knew some people like that actually said they wanted to kill themselves from traumatizement. They actually said that they like wanted to do suicide just because of that. I knew people that were adopted because they didn't have a mother and their father, and their mother and their father did not want them.
And that could be traumatizing.
And I knew people that cry every day just because they don't have a mother or father. And I feel bad for them people because I'm complaining about that. But my father, he can come home anytime, and it's not always stuck right there. It's not a wall and he blocked me. It's not like that. He not dead. My father is alive. It's like he come and see me anytime, but he really can't because he in jail. And it's like a wall in front of me. It's like he on the other side and I'm on this side, but he can't see.
And that's traumatizing because when you was a child, one time, you remember this, Brie?
What?
You said you was going to break your father out of jail. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
She had a whole story how she planned on breaking her dad, and she didn't know that she really couldn't do that, but in that moment I knew something. Yeah, she had a whole plan on breaking. Do you remember this or no? Yeah, she had a whole plan on breaking her dad out. But this is touchy, and I wanted to keep it short and sweet, and it's more. So I just wanted to touch base with just the bare minimum and let people know, yes, trauma is real. And even from the smallest things, somebody is dealing with trauma because they had a friend cross them and now they got trust issues. Somebody is dealing with trauma because they've been molested and they still haven't spoken up, and now they're 30, 40 years old. And this is just in general. They haven't spoken about it. And that trauma is really holding up that wall, stopping certain things from being able to happen. Trauma, if you're not healed from it, you can't move. Sometimes it hinders you. It does hinder you from a lot of things, and you're not able to grow. So if anybody who's tapped into this show, you can relate. Even if you can't relate, I want you to share this story because I want to talk and I want to share your story and let people know that, yes, trauma is real. People deal with trauma in their daily life. Some people don't even acknowledge the trauma and they still trying to figure out why they're not normal, but it's the trauma that's causing them to not be normal. 3 months ago, back in November, my best friend was in a damn car accident, and it's a story for later. Before the accident, I wasn't feeling nothing. I was going to cut her off. And the thought of losing her was so traumatic because it's like, life is short. Now I talk to my best friend every day. I value our friendship, and I'm sure she values our friendship as well. And I think about things differently. Every time I talk to anybody on the phone now, and I was like, I love you. Because even though she's still here, that was traumatic just knowing that she could have been gone. The person in the opposite car of her didn't make it. The driver is paralyzed and the passenger died, and her car looked equivalent to theirs. So those little things, not being able to say goodbye or apologize or have a fair warning of losing someone can cause trauma. Seeing my fiance deal with his mother's death was traumatizing for me. I thought her seizure was the most hardest thing I dealt with in my life. No, I was calling my mother for advice. I couldn't cry with him. Sometimes I did, but I had to call my mother afterwards and just ask her what to do. That was traumatizing because I still had my mother. And I didn't know how to deal with it. So certain things can really have the next person traumatized. And talking to me is the only way to heal from it. And sometimes talking don't get it. You have to have therapy.
I feel like I sit down with the person or talking to the person who caused you trauma for help. And it's not even like you gotta like tell them, like, just explain yourself. And if you don't want to talk to the person no more, you can choose not to talk to the person no more.
That's a good point, and I don't want to keep y'all no longer. It's already 30 minutes. Bree said she feel like talking to the person that have caused you the trauma may help. She feel like if you have a sit down, that may help. But she also just said, even if you don't want to talk to the person, no. Some people don't have the chance to talk to the person. Some people don't have that. And being able to talk to someone that have caused trauma, it's closure. But sometimes it's unbearable and you can't face it. You can't stand up to them. So writing a letter, it's different ways. What's your coping mechanism? What's your coping mechanism? You send your father text messages. Did that help you deal with it?
No.
So if you had gotten a response?
You helped me explain myself. I didn't get nothing out of it.
You didn't get nothing out of
it?
it?
It was just me getting the steam off my chest, so for a minute I felt better. But it was just like, why he not even trying to do better after a while, so I just don't explain myself no more.
And that's not a coping mechanism. She just had to put that barrier up. And as I stated, barriers sometimes, they protect you, but they also keep out of blessings. So like with Bree, and I stress this a lot, I asked that with most girls that I saw raised without a dad, even though she had a stepdad, that caused trauma. And then you have relationships where you're looking for someone to fill that void of you not having your dad. Do you feel like that could be you?
I used to.
It used to? Mm-hmm. But now you know your worth because I feel like cup up as much as I can?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Y'all, I kept y'all for 32 minutes. Like I said, if this helped you in any way, if you're dealing with any trauma, first, encourage you to get therapy. First, encourage you to talk about it. Seek help in any way. Don't be embarrassed. Live your truth. Speak up for what is right. Face your fears. Confront the person that caused your trauma if it's possible. But if this video helped you in any way, I want you to share it. I want you to comment. And I want people to talk about their trauma. And it's not easy because, like I said, at one point I was embarrassed about one of the traumatic situations I went through, but it wasn't until I was able to talk about it that I felt better. You know what I mean? So, trauma's real. Trauma's real. I ain't even know this 8-year-old understood trauma. But she got real tears because, again, y'all, this is the real and wild family. Okay? So, if anyone's open to it, I would love to have you on our channel, on our show, and just talk about it. Talk about it. I don't know who this video may help, but I hope it'll help somebody. And I'm going to leave on this note, but I can't get too personal because this is the real and wild family, but I still have a teenage child that's facing these things. But as a mother, this 13-year-old caused me trauma. She had me crying to my mother. Can you say yes or no I did?
What?
You caused me a little trauma, and I might have caused you some too. We have not always been able to sit this close.
We still can.
Oh, yes, we can. Oh, yes, we can. Trauma is real. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. At first, I was embarrassed about the things that I endured with this child. But now I'm grateful because this big mouth, I talk about it. Not while she in my present. But if it's a mother out here that's going through anything with that 13-year-old child, I could probably help them out a whole lot because of my trauma. Understand? I even got a video of me crying one day Dropping her off. You deleted it?
Yep.
Dropping her off
Yeah.
somewhere. It was the biggest mistake. I thought it was the biggest mistake, but I'm grateful that I had the balls and the mindset that I did to help me face my trauma and help her face her trauma. But that's another story for later, because she don't know who watching, and she ain't real. Bree not real and wild like me.
Sure not. Mind your business.
See, it's not funny, but tap in, y'all. Tap in. Tap in. And I pray and I hope that this right here helps somebody else. And if you ain't get nothing else from this video, starting today, right now, learn to talk about your trauma. And even if you're not ready to talk about it, because again, I was embarrassed and I wasn't ready. Don't just suppress it. Speak on it, whether you're speaking to yourself, whether you're speaking out to God. But you gotta let that trauma know. You can't claim my life.
Is that I'm about to go have to clean my room.
Yeah, we're gonna end it right there because we still have this one very emotional. I don't know if Bree rubbed off on her. Her seeing Bree cry is
Bree don't cry
traumatizing
no
to her.
more.
Now she's crying. I don't know what happened, but
Who cried? I ain't cried.
what's wrong? What's wrong? You alright? So since you talked about it, do you feel like you're alright? You feel a little better? Okay. And what you would like to say to anybody that's dealing with trauma?
Let it out.
Let it out. Release. Release. And I'm going to leave this note seriously. Me and Bree went through what we went through. One morning I woke them up. I acted like we was going somewhere very fun. And I told them where we was going once we got there. And we went to run. You know why we ran? To get rid of our trauma. That's right. We release unwanted negativity. Because a lot of times that's what trauma is. Negative thoughts and mindsets that we hold on to. So if this is for you, I'm challenging you and everyone else out there that's watching to release unwanted negativity. Just run. Release unwanted negativity. We love y'all. Hope we help somebody.